Hi everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of Engineering Success with our special guest, Julie White. Julie is a managing director of D-Drill, a specialist diamond drilling and soaring company, having completed a management buyout from her father in 2008. Celebrating 50 years trading, D-Drill has the UK's largest branch network in its sector with an unrivalled team of experts. Under Julie's leadership, D-Drill has won numerous industry accolades, including the coveted Diamond Award from the International Association of Concrete Drillers and Soarers. Julie is the only woman running a business in this specialist sector and is the first woman appointed to a professional body for the industry, having joined the board of directors for the Drilling and Soaring Association and is now the president of the World Association. Chairing training and skills, Julie has the honoured position to sit as director on the main strategy UK Build board. In 2011, Julie was chosen as a Vitalised Businesswoman of the Year and has appeared on many programmes in radio and television, including BBC Question Time, The One Show, BBC Breakfast, and has had reviews in tabloids including The Guardian, The Sunday Times, The Mail on Sunday and The Daily Telegraph. Okay, hi Julie and welcome to Engineering Success. It's great to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you very much.
Can we start with what made you choose a career in the construction industry and what made you decide to start a special flooring preparation company?
Well, I think I was born into construction. It was my D-Drill was my family business.
Yeah.
And I always known it. The D-Drill was started in 1967. I'm not that old. And so it's been going over 53 years. And I grew up with it. It was always around when I was a child. It was always as well when the most exciting parts of my life was going on. It was my family was running the business from home. My father was away a lot. My mum always answered the phone. We had this red phone on the wall and it rang and rang and rang. Right. And my mum was always scribbling notes by the side of it. And then my father would arrive back after being away, concrete cutting or demolishing something around England. And it was always when the exciting part was. It was always a big pot of like curry or some kind of casserole on the stove, loads of diamond drillers, men around. Yeah. My mum was much more happier, my dad was there, and it was always the most exciting part of my life. So I just kind of loved it. Yeah. And the conversations was always around diamond drilling and construction. So I think it's in my blood. Yeah. Can something be in your blood? But I think it was the passion of the most fun times. And when I was a child, didn't have the health and safety as I do now, so I was always camped off with my father at the weekends, and we were always on construction sites, and I was this gopher. Go and get a diamond drill here, go and connect the water, go and connect the electricity. Yeah. So I was always, I grew up with it really. Yeah. And then I actually had a bit of a strange bit of a career divide. I actually was around the world yacht racing. I did 3 round the world yacht races. Yeah. And then I decided that wasn't, the water wasn't blue anymore. That got a bit boring. So I actually came back and saw a gap in the market. Yeah. And this was nothing to do with the diamond drilling and soaring, but it was a technology that was brought in from Europe. And it had, we could diamond grind black bitumen adhesive off floors for the shop refits, large shop refits. Yeah. And this was never been done. And I found coming home and being in, and when I come home, I would never go and see my aunties or my uncles. I'd always come into D-Drill and help my dad. Yeah. And so I found a bit of a, open market and decided that's what I start. So I actually started a company that really did floor preparation for the construction industry, mostly the shop fitting industry. Yeah. And so I used to take up miles of vinyl tiles in a Focus Do-It-All or a B&Q, and then diamond grind the adhesive away, because you can never put a new covering on an old adhesive. So really, I always said I was the best stripper and grinder in the construction industry back in those days. So and I grew that to be a very large company when
Right.
I had over 50 operators myself.
Yeah.
And that's where I got the money to really go on to do my next part
Right.
on my construction life.
Right. Okay. Before we get to that little bit, who or what's been your biggest inspiration then?
I mean, a lot of people say, you look back, and I think it was mostly my family.
Yeah.
My family have had a huge work ethic and a huge, both my parents. My mother was, because my father was one of the first diamond drillers, pioneers in the world,
Yeah.
and nobody was doing it in Europe. My mother decided that they couldn't buy the diamond drilling drill product.
Yeah.
And so my mother decided she was going to make it. So she
Right.
actually bought the diamonds from De Beers, bought the tungsten powder.
Right.
We had a furnace in a small factory, and she actually, she said it was like making a cake. She used to make it up,
Yeah.
and she was a young lad that would put the diamond drills in the furnace and buy the tube.
Yeah.
So she ran her own engineering work when I was a child. So
Right.
she was the real workhorse of the family.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was seeing my mother being in a very hard engineering side,
Yeah.
my father in a very unique construction side.
Yeah.
And for me, they never ever said to me that I could never achieve anything. They always said, yeah, you can do that, off you go.
Yeah.
And they would support me, but they would usually just push me into one side or say, go do it, you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what gave me that's, I think, my parents.
Right. So a lot of leaders have weekly, daily habits.
Yeah.
Do you have any habits?
I am not a very good person with a habit, so if I ever have to take a pill once a day or whatever, I'm not very good at it. So I
Right.
usually have to put them in my shoe or something that I know I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So I haven't got very many habits,
Okay.
but I have got a habit of talking to people a lot.
Right.
I'm actually very fun-loving. I actually, don't get me wrong, running a business isn't fun all the time.
No.
But I do love just getting out and speaking to people. So as soon as I come to the office, which is not a daily thing either, I will go to one-to-one to the people that I want to speak to, that I need the information from.
Yeah.
So the accountant, the bought ledger, the sales. And then I go and often talk to other people. And it might be just a conversation on, what's that?
Yeah.
If there's something, a piece of machinery in the factory, or if a driller comes in and I don't know his face, I'll go and introduce myself. Or as a driller that's come from our Newcastle or our Plymouth branch, I will go and say hello, and then look in the back of the van, just talk.
Yeah.
And really those pristine bits of information I can get, I usually can piece them together and then come back to the ops guy and say, that's going to happen, or this has happened, or I feel we should do this because... And he never understands how I do it. And he calls it the white witch. The white witch is hit again. She knows something's gone on, but it's just from talking.
Yeah.
And that's what I do also out in the open at networking events. I'll go and ask and talk and just ask people, their feelings, how they think the industry's going, what they think their workload's going to be. And I'm just very inquisitive. So that's the one thing I do every day. I ask a lot of questions and talk to a lot of people.
Right. So what obstacles did you overcome to be the MD of Dedra?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
When as I said, I took the company over. I did a management buyout, so it wasn't given to me. So I actually raised the money through the bank from my old company, Superfloor, the floor preparation side of it. And then it was the buyout. So I had my mother, my auntie, my uncle, my cousin all involved, and my father, he is my best friend. So it was really taking over a company of 42 years and listening to, we've never done it that way, every day. And also the actual not having as much of a process and procedures in a company, because it was a family-run business and they all would do their own bits. But it was really the construction. The recession hit very quickly when I bought the company, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, I look back now and think it was a good thing. But within 8 months of owning the company, I lost 40% of our turnover because of not Brexit, sorry, because of the recession. And it was like turning the tap off. So I really got to know the companies very quickly.
Yeah.
And really, I found that, how can you find the right people in your own gene pool? Sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it was really, the difficult part was getting the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus.
Yeah.
And it took quite a few years to get the right people around me to run a business of, with 8 to 10 branches,
Yeah.
and to be able to run them, in a systematic way.
Yes.
Without running everybody to the ground.
Yeah.
That was the most difficult part.
So what have you enjoyed the most?
Enjoyed the most. I think enjoyed the most is actually bringing a company of 42 years. As I said, we're now 50 odd years, and I systemised the company. I actually brought processes and procedures in.
Yeah.
A Newcastle driller is doing the same as a London D-drill driller to
Right.
a Plymouth D-drill driller. I actually modernised it. I brought systems in, and I brought apprenticeships in.
Yeah.
So apprentices. So we had a workforce that was ageing, of course, because we were a great company to work for. No one usually leaves.
Yeah.
And I brought younger people in, which brought the productivity in, which was a key thing for our what we survived in the recession.
Yeah.
And also bringing that new feeling, and so we could bring in the new technologies and go out and actually see what else we could offer the construction industry. So that's the other thing I really loved, is going out and finding the new technologies and bringing them inside the company to support the concrete cutting side of the company.
Yeah. So what challenges do you face on a weekly or monthly basis at Dedra?
I think time
Right.
is always is the biggest thing, because I like to do a lot, and also I do like to have a lifestyle.
Right.
And it's a kind of a swings and in roundabout. They always say, a work-life balance, and it is very true.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you start in a business, and my first business, it was my life. I didn't have a life. I never even had a date for 6 years. Now that was bad. But then it changes. Life changes, and it's just trying to get that balance.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest challenge for me, and also seeing what's going on out. I can control, or I hope I control with my key people, what's going on inside the company.
Yeah.
But the problem is outside. So we had the recession, we had the change around in the government, we've had Brexit. It's those external things that is always the biggest challenge for me. And as an entrepreneur, you always want to control everything.
Yeah.
And I can't. I can just do good for my own house, my own housekeeping, my own company, my own employees, and just ride the waves, really.
Yeah. So what attributes do you think are essential for success in business?
Wow, I think it's. I think you have to be pig-headed sometimes.
Right.
Because as we're looking at Brexit now, no one's making a decision.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to make a decision, for wrong and for right. But if you don't make a decision, the company just will flounder, or nobody will ever make a decision.
Yeah.
So sometimes, as a managing director and somebody at a top position like me, we have to set the route.
Yeah.
And we have to make decisions. And don't get me right, they're not always right, but we have to go on a route, or it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So it's making a decision and actually going on a decision, and sometimes putting up your hand saying it's wrong, or or if it was a right decision, steering everybody and keeping it, people motivated to go that way.
So what do you think makes you a great leader then?
I think I'm very. Well, this is quite a hard one, isn't it? Because you're talking about yourself, isn't it? It's always the hardest ones.
It is.
I think I can talk to anyone. I think I'm sounding like I'm a right old little gossip here, but I'm not.
No.
But I think I can actually get to what turns people on. I know that sounds a bit strange, but I can talk to the bank manager, and I can understand what he requires from me, and I can deliver to him.
Yeah.
I can then go to my customers and see from the big main contractors down to the specialist trades, what do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want value for money? Do you want a job that you're going to do once and do it once at all? Do you want health and safety? Do you want apprentices to I can tick that box. So I'm very good at finding out what turns people on, or turns a company on, and then really delivering that for the people, or trying to deliver it. because sometimes you can get it wrong or go up the wrong route, but it's also, just treating people as what you want to be treated like.
Yes, yeah. So what keeps you motivated?
Yes, that's a good hard one. I think if you'd have asked me this, 10 years ago, I'd have said profit. I would have said profit's the only thing that motivates me.
Yeah.
But it's not anymore. I think it's seeing the quality of work that we do. And we're doing between 800 to 1,000 jobs a month.
Right.
For around about 4,000 to 6,000 customers at any one time. And I can count on one hand how many complaints we get in a quarter in 3 months.
Yeah.
So for me, it's great, and to actually see what we achieve. Because don't get me wrong, concrete cutting is a very small part of the job, but they usually have us on a job because they've messed up. I could say something even harsher than that, but they've usually messed up, or they haven't got an opening for a window or a door or a pipe, and so we are. I always say we're like the AA of the industry. We're like, when they're in the crap. I hope I can say that one.
Yeah, you can.
That they can actually come and call on us. So we actually move very quickly. Our order book, 80% of our order book's only 48 hour long.
Right.
And so we have to move very quickly and usually solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So for me, it's solving customers' problems and the quality of it now, and finding new technologies and making those work.
Yeah.
I do love that.
Right.
Really do.
So we all know it's important to continually develop ourselves.
Yeah.
How do you continually develop yourself?
Yeah. Well, for me, I actually am international or world president right now. Yeah. So I get out. I'm off to Germany tomorrow, actually, to the Bauma exhibition, and I've been to the World of Concrete in the US. I've been to Florida this year to the American Association. Yeah. So for me, it's getting out and seeing what our industry is doing, not only in my own country, because I sit on the Drilling and Sawing Association board. Yeah. It's actually going out and seeing what the world's doing. Right. What's best practice? What is, what are you doing that England's not doing? Yeah. What is Germany doing? What's Switzerland doing? What's Japan doing? Yes. And going out and actually making those contacts and seeing, what's best for our industry. So for me, it's learning that, and also, bringing best technology and best productivity and way forward for a company of my size in such a small super specialist trade. Yeah.
So have you had any mentors along your journey?
Yes, definitely. I've had quite a lot of mentors, and again, with every mentor, you always have your time. You do grow out of a mentor. Yeah. And I think at first it was my father, and of course my mother. Yeah. And then I've either had a paid mentor, which I've actually spent money on people that you can actually, because it's a very lonely life being at the top of the tree. Yeah. There is no one that I can go and say, oh, no, that's not good, or oh, you've done that wrong, or there is no one. It's very lonely sometimes. So it's good. And also I do a lot of courses. I have a sales team behind me here, and I think it's my talking again. I'm very good at sales, and as a woman in the industry, I can get to a lot of the procurement, and a lot of the managing directors of any construction companies are quite happy to see us. Yeah. And so I always go out maybe once a month and do a training course. And it could be a training course on health and safety, or first aid, or sales, or Google, or I always try and do one a month. If it's half a day or a couple of hours, or do a webinar. Yes. Just to because if you can come out with one pointer out of anything, that is worth that 1 hour. Yes. And I also am in a business group. Right. And we have they're all businesses from every type, and you can sit in that room and talk very openly. Yeah. And you always know then you're not alone. Everyone else has loads of problems. Because that is very easy to think as well. You're the only person that has these problems in business. Yes. But yes, that's what I do mostly.
So, just coming off that a bit, what would your number one piece of advice be for somebody starting a career in the construction industry
Wow,
today?
that's a hard one, yes. For me, it's an amazing industry because whatever you want to do, you can achieve it. People always think of construction workers are the ones standing at the side of the road, leaning on their spades or digging a hole. But you can actually get into any part. You can get into accounting, you can get into bid writing, you can go into quantity surveying, you can go into, lawyers or solicitors that are, to do with debts, to do with terms and condition. There's everything is there possible for construction. So, to be honest, come into the industry and know it's not digging holes. That there is so much more out there. There is whatever you want to achieve in construction can be done. And it's a great industry. Love it.
Yeah. So I know you're a big advocate of apprenticeships.
Yes.
So why do you feel that there's been a skill shortage within the construction industry historically?
Yeah. Well, we're going back to that famous 2008 when I bought this D-drill. We actually went through the longest, hardest recession that we ever had in the whole of Great Britain and in the construction industry. And we lost more people in that year, that nearly 12 months, 18 months, than the whole of the motor industry actually employ now.
Right.
So we had around about 400,000 people left our industry from retiring, which we didn't replace. Nobody was training. People got people were made redundant. People got rid of any kind of labour they didn't need, and those people went elsewhere into other industries. So there's this. It's just a huge skill gap now. We've got this gap that it's going to be very hard for us to catch up on, and apprenticeships is key for our industry because when the government devalued apprenticeships, the Swiss carried on. The Swedes, the Germans, all those nations carried on apprenticeships, and they're not in the problem we've got now. We devalued and said it was the only way to go into higher education or into a job was through universities, which is not the way. There is two, if not three ways into industry, and apprenticeships is a fantastic way of doing it. So for us, it's key. For the industry, it's key. I think for Great Britain, it's key. And we've now got to stop devaluing it and get the value back in it, and people to realise that you're not a second-class citizen because you're doing an apprenticeship instead of going to university. It's wrong. And for our industries, engineering and construction, it's key. I would take an apprentice any time over a graduate. Any time. And that's what we need to do. And it's going to be because they devalued it for so long, it's going to take a long time to get that back.
So do you feel that the construction industry could promote itself better?
Yes, I think so. But I think they're going down the right route. I think they're trying to show that there is a lot more roots into the industry, that there is more possibility for women, for apprenticeships. So I think they are turning it, but it's going to be a long trip, a long, hard trip, and it's getting down really to the source. Because we don't have career advisors anymore. I mean, I remember having a career advisor when I was at school, and it's really getting to schools and saying, look, don't think you are thick if you have to because you go into construction. You're not. It's an amazing industry. Look at what the skyline in London and in Manchester, in Coventry. The skyline, it's that the engineering feat, the work, the construction, hard work that went into it, and all the technology, it's just massive. It really is. And we're not stupid working in construction. We're actually very smart. And we work, we think on our feet and we solve problems.
Do you think it helps having leaders like you to promote it? People that are successful actually pulling the young guys up and through.
I think so.
Do you think they need to take more responsibility?
It is, and that's for me. That's why I'm very hot on apprenticeships. I push a lot of apprenticeships through my company, and I'm not. I know pushing sounds a hard word, but it is. You've got to get the right guys or the right women that want apprenticeships and bring them through, and you have to show them the way.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to find their own way. You have to really mentor them or give them somebody that they can look up to and know that they have, you know, a career going forward in construction, in diamond drilling, in any company.
Yeah.
So for me, it is all about getting out there and talking about it. I mean, I go out on the media, I do a lot of radio interviews, a lot of TV, I do BBC Breakfast, The One Show, Question Time. I've done it all because I wanted to show that construction guys they're not all guys, they're not all hairy and, you know, dark suits. But you can, and you know, I'm sick of turning it on the TV and just seeing everybody from manufacturing and that, where 1 in every 10 person in Great Britain is employed in construction.
Right.
You know, we give back £3 to every pound that's spent to the great economy that's spent in construction. Yeah. And so we are key. And so I kind of took it to myself to actually go out and talk about things I've never even thought of. GDP figures, you know, and, you know, employment rights and, you know, and health and safety. Just so I can say construction is the best. Concrete cutting is sexy.
So how do you think the construction industry, or diamond drilling, let's take, will change in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think it has to. I mean, I've just done a piece on my blog, and I do a lot on LinkedIn, as you know, and on Twitter. And it's about employing the millenniums. You know, it's a different way of employing. It's a different way. You know, they're not like when I was a younger person in their age group. If your boss wasn't getting on to you, you knew you were a good job. You're doing a great job. But now they need people to say you're doing a great job, or this is where you can go. This is what you can earn if you do this for us. This is if you return this. This is what you're given, and you've got to realise that they're not going to stay here forever. No. They're not in a job forever. Yeah. And with the diamond drilling industry, it's the technology now again. We have a lot of remote control machines, the wire saws, the wall saws. We've got these remote control prop machines, demolition machines that are all done by like PlayStation.
Yeah, remote control.
Remote controlled. Yeah. And the young people love this. They're good at it. Yeah. I mean, if you give it to me, I'm bloody rubbish. But that's what they love. So our industry will go more remote controlled. Yeah. People want, and it's good for health and safety. Yeah. Because if you're doing it remote controlling, you're not near where the debris is. You're not near where the health and safety problem could be. Yeah. So that's how I see it going. Right.
So, my final question, Julie.
It's gone very quick.
It has, I know. Having achieved so much, what does the future hold for you?
Wow, the future. I mean, and you say I've achieved a lot, and you look back and I think, I could have done this, or I should have done that better, you know. And people always call me an entrepreneur. I just think I'm just doing something I love. Yeah. I've got a company I love. I've got an industry I love. And, you know, and if I can make a little bit of a difference going out to the media or bringing that extra apprentice on, then I'm going to do it. Right. And for me, I think I now sit on one of 8 on the BuildUK board, one of 8 of the whole construction industry. Yeah. I now sit on the CITB board. I'm world and international president. I sit on the Drilling and Sawing Association board. So for me now, I think it's giving it back. Right. I'm going to give back to the industry, and I'm going to promote it. And I think money isn't my drive anymore. It's doing something back to the industry, and that's what I want. So get into construction. Diamond drilling is the way.
Julie, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's been great to interview.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Join us next time on Engineering Success for more insights from successful and inspirational leaders within the engineering and construction industries. I would love you to subscribe to the podcast and please leave a rating and review. Have an amazing week and see you next time on Engineering Success.